Hey guys, Peter Chualau here, a cloud engineer and IaC advocate. Today we're solving a critical enterprise challenge, transforming manually created cloud resources into governed, auditable infrastructure as code. Now, why does it matter? We all know IaC eliminates configuration drift and enforces compliance, but in enterprises, a lot of cloud resources start as manual deployments, creating potential operational issues, security blind spots, and audit nightmares. In this video, I'll show you how to codify an S3 bucket that was created manually via CDK and CloudFormation, establishing Git source control of your CDK project, updating the bucket configuration via code, which means it's trackable and scalable. So let's get started. All right, as you can see, we're now on our AWS S3 console. We've got a couple of buckets. We're interested in the first one with a name starting with AACL. This was manually created, and we'll just have a quick peek what objects are in there. There's just some dummy data. There's a folder with some dummy data in there as well. And have a quick look at the properties, which seem to just be all the default configuration out of the box when you create an S3 bucket. But it looks like there's a permission here, a bucket policy that restricts to TLS connections only. Just look at the management. There's no lifecycle rules, replication rules, or any other lifecycle configuration. Okay, so now we'd like to capture it into IaC using CloudFormation's IaC generator. To go there, you just go to CloudFormation, go to the region that you're working on, and as you can see, I've only got CDK toolkit stack in here because I performed the CDK bootstrap before this video, just in preparation. We'll now go to IaC generator. I've just done a scan. We're now going to templates to create a new template, and I shall name it my existing bucket. The deletion policy and update replace policies you can change into delete, but I'm gonna leave it as retained for both. So now we need to add our S3 bucket. So I'll filter it down to the bucket. And as you can see here, this is the bucket that we're interested in. And you can see it's not managed by stack. Click next, and it automatically picks up the associated bucket policy as well, having that same name. Click next and create template. We then import into a stack. I shall name it the same as my stack in the IaC generator when I created the template. Okay, so now that the template has been successfully imported into CloudFormation, we'd now like to do a CDK migrate. So I'm going to go to my terminal, do an AWS SSO login, and I shall now do a CDK migrate. So you can see here, it issues the command CDK migrate with a stack name of my existing S3 bucket, and it's going to capture it from the stack because that's the name of the stack, and I'm going to use Python as my language of choice. There you go, it's all created. We can see that the my existing bucket folder has been created. So we'll go into that folder. Then we'll do a activation of the virtual environment. Now let's run VS Code so we can explore what's in this folder. We've got the virtual environment folder. We've got what we're interested in is this is the main Python application file, and it's pointing to my existing S3 bucket, which it takes from this folder, and this file in particular is what we're interested in. So as you can see here, we've got the S3 bucket itself as well as the bucket policy. So it's all automatically captured by CDK migrate for us. So we'll bring up the terminal here. Next, we're gonna do a CDK diff and review the output. We'll see if it detects any changes or differences between my CDK project and the CloudFormation stack. Scroll from the top. As you can see, it's picking up parameters that it will add, a metadata that it will remove, a condition. Now we're not interested in those because those are all managed by CDK. What we're interested in is the resources section. And according to this diff output, the CDK project doesn't have any update replace policy, because if we deploy it as is, it means that the update replace policy that we've initially set as retain when we created the template has not been captured by CDK migrate. So we'll add it manually to the file. So we can see here, this line here only refers to this deletion policy and not the update replace policy. So what we'll do is just copy that, but replace the deletion policy with the update and replace policy, and do the same for the bucket policy. Save that, do another CDK diff. Okay, so as we can see, there's no more differences detected on the resources section. Next, we will do a CDK deploy. All right, it shows it's a successful CDK deployment. If we look at let's look at the CloudFormation template first. Yeah, we can see CDK metadata in here now. And we can see CDK bootstrap version. So these are just signs that this is controlled by CDK. If we look at the S3 bucket, we can see that the data has not been affected. But let's look at the properties. We can see that there's tags in here now that tells us that it's managed by CloudFormation. So nothing has changed from our importation of this into IaC. So next step, we will push the code, the CDK package, into GitHub. I've got this GitHub repository that I've just created. It's called Learn CDK. As you can see, there's nothing in here. So we will go back to our VM, do a git init, and then add it and do a git commit. And now we're gonna add git remote and set my GitHub as the origin. We'll have a look on GitHub. And as we can see, our project is now here. Okay, so now we've captured it in a CDK project, and our CDK project's now source controlled on a central repository. We now are requested by security that they want to improve the configuration of your S3 bucket. They want to enable versioning. They want to encrypt it with a CMK that's managed by S3. They want to add lifecycle policies, and they want to add tags. So a few things that they want to change. We're going to do this all in the code. So first thing we do is we would like versioning configuration. We'd like bucket encryption. So instead of saying server-side encryption using the SES3, we want to change that to KMS by specifying this KMS master key ID. We'd also like this particular lifecycle configuration to be added. And we'd like to add our standard tags in here, as well as update the bucket policy so that it restricts access to the bucket only if you're using the KMS key. Do another CDK diff and review the changes. So as we can see, the resources section is telling us it's going to change the KMS key. It's going to add this lifecycle configuration. It's going to add tags. It's going to add versioning, and the bucket policy. We will have these additional statements that will deny objects that are not KMS. So let's do a CDK deploy. Let's check out what's going on the CloudFormation side. We can see that update is complete. However, on this VS Code, it is also complete. It took 54 seconds. So we'll see whether the changes we've asked CDK to do has done it. You can see bucket versioning is now enabled. We've got our tags in there. We've got encryption type now to KMS, and it's using the master KMS key for S3. Our bucket policy has now been updated with that additional condition for KMS only access, and we've got a lifecycle rule in here as well. Again, to confirm, nothing has been affected as far as our data is concerned. Okay, so that confirms it. I'll just quickly push all the changes, commit and push all the changes into GitHub. And that's all done. And there we have it. We've taken an existing S3 bucket, created manually, and transformed it into enterprise-grade infrastructure, fully codified, version controlled, and policy driven. Let's talk about why this matters for your organization. To recap, we imported an S3 bucket into IaC without downtime. We've enforced security configs via code, KMS encryption, versioning, lifecycle, and we've also established source control for governance and change control. Whether you're managing 10 buckets or 10,000, this is how modern enterprises deal with and manage resources in the cloud. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.